Hello, my name is Austin, and I want to talk to you about sex. Now, let me see a show of hands, how many of you feel like sex ed set you up for a lifetime of healthy sexual relationships? Anyone? All right, now I grew up in Texas, and all things considered, I actually had pretty good sex ed. I learned about the male and female reproductive system, I learned about fallopian tubes and the urinary tract, and I learned about all the things that they tell you, all the fun things about why not to have sex, about the dangers and risks of teenage pregnancy, about gonorrhea, syphilis, HIV, all the things they tell you to scare you away from having sex. And I learned about birth control and IUDs, condoms, and of course, abstinence. Everything that a teenage boy needs to know about sex. I was set. Now, that said, I left middle school as a cute but incredibly shy middle schooler. I had an intense fear of ever having sex. I had clear instructions to always wear a condom, but nothing about actually having sex. And so I looked elsewhere. There's television, movies, and of course for many teenage boys there's porn. And at some point, I had my first girlfriend. And we never had sex, but we explored, we touched each other, but we never really talked about it. We didn't have the vocabulary. We were literally fumbling around in the dark. And this continued with later relationships. Me pretending I knew what I was doing, slowly becoming more comfortable with the social interactions around sex, but still not saying much, just not knowing what to say. And after high school, my relationship with sex changed. I had friends who were sex positive, that were trying to combat the stigma associated with sex. And I had friends who started to tell me about their experiences with having been raped. And as I've heard about Steubenville and Emma Sulkowicz, I've reflected on my own sexual experience, sexual education, and realized that I missed something. I missed something really important. I never was taught what a healthy sexual relationship should look like. I wasn't even taught what consent was. I was never learned what appropriate or inappropriate behavior is when you're going to have sex with someone. And it's not just me that was set up for failure. It's America, a whole lot of America. In a study, 1 in 12 college-age men said that they had committed acts that were legally rape or attempted rape. Now, and 84% of them said it wasn't rape. Now, if you're going to set someone up for a lifetime of sexual healthy relationships, is that how you do it? Teaching sex ed by teaching them how to use birth control and focusing on the dangers of sex without teaching about respect is like teaching someone how to buckle up. You're going to end up with everyone driving like they're in the Fast and the Furious because they don't know the rules of the road. But at least in Texas, when you're learning how to drive, you get 32 hours of classroom training and 44 hours of behind-the-wheel training. And I'm not saying that we need behind-the-wheel training for sex, but why would you expect it would turn out any differently when all that you learn in sex ed is how to fasten your metaphorical seatbelt, but nothing about what is acceptable or unacceptable behavior? Now, it took me a dozen years to figure out what someone could have taught me in middle school, that a healthy sexual relationship has more to do with communication than with condoms. That enthusiastic consent, a strong yes, is what everyone needs and wants. And so tonight, I'm asking you to help me take sex back from Hollywood and the porn industry. Because if we're going to end rape culture in America, we're going to need a new sex ed, a sex ed 2.0 that teaches our youth, especially our young men, about healthy sexual relationships. Because if we don't, there's tens of millions of women who are our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, who will experience sexual assault in their lifetime. And that status quo cannot stand. Thank you.